Hi there, it's your favorite ex-Jehovah's Witness, Wordly Sam. Today's topic for the video is finding peace within myself after my Jehovah's Witness mom shuns me. So at the time of this video being posted, which is April 27th of 2025, it's been a couple of days since I sent my final message to my mom. So a little backstory is that back in March, my mom sent me this Bible passage of a message basically talking about the benefits of therapy because I confided in her that I was hesitant about going, but I didn't tell her the reason why. Now, the reason that I didn't want to go or was not comfortable at the time not going because I knew I would never be able to look at her the same once I began therapy, even my past. Not only did her message talk about that, but she also went on to say how basically once I finally got therapy, I'd realized so much of my past wasn't as bad as I thought. Even though I faced mental health struggles like severe depression, anxiety, amongst a lot of other things, and apparently those were making my experiences and things that I experienced in the cult way worse than they actually were. Really? So basically I was like, whoa, let me get this straight. My mental health struggles made me imagine that being assaulted by a ministerial servant / regular pioneer was worse than what it actually was? Or how about the crushing loneliness and isolation that I experienced because no one bothered to reach out to the quiet, depressed kid? Or how about this one, being screamed at the entire time in service by my abusive grandmother who thought I told my mom something that she confided in me in. But seriously guys, I could go on and on, but those are just a few examples of things that I endured back in the day. So back to the message that she sent. I retorted back to her that I was disgusted with how she diminished everything that I went through to just a little mental illness and simple misunderstandings. So I finished off my message with, if she couldn't bring herself to wake up to the horrors that I experienced and acknowledge how wrong it all was, and keep in mind, she went through things as well too in this cult, I wanted nothing to do with her. And she should get actual therapy herself too before she tries to sell me on it. Because if anyone needs it, it's definitely her. It's not to say that I don't need it, because honey, I need it, trust me. But at least I'm open to it. She'd never go, as ironic as that sounds. And then after that, the last time we spoke over text was about finding my own phone plan and only giving me a couple of days to get that done, which she claims was because her company had finally gotten sold and all that, but it's like, you couldn't tell me until the very last minute? Thanks. I did try to send a couple of messages after that, but they've all been ignored, so that gave me a little bit of time to really think, and then something dawned on me. She would rather lose me than lose the illusion that's been sold to her by the Jehovah's Witness cult. She, in effect, chose a cult over her own flesh and blood, her only daughter. So I set up a family group chat to let them know what transpired, and the final steps in my acceptance of my relationship with my mom began. I started to research ways to cope, and I found a phrase that stuck with me. You are never going to break a generational curse as long as you're busy still trying to please the generation that is cursed. So basically, if I want all this shit to end, it has to end with me. I have to be the one to do it. And not only that, but I can't have a real or even healthy relationship with someone who thinks that just because I no longer have the same belief system as them, that I'm going to be destroyed along with all the unbelievers in this Armageddon. And funny enough, that actually brings to mind one of my last phone conversations that I had with her, where I asked her, am I a good person? And she said yes, albeit hesitantly. Then I asked her if I deserved to die. And I swear a good 30 seconds of dead silence passed before she answered, if Jehovah made that decision, I would be heartbroken, but I would trust in his decision. from that day forward, I already knew it wouldn't be much longer that we would be in communication. And what's funnier is to think that not too long ago, my mom's way of coping with me no longer believing was trying to convince me to stay inactive rather than to send in my letter of removal, because it was her way of thinking that there was still a chance for me to be saved before God's day. Looking back though, it was so selfish of her, because really all she wanted it was for her name to not be tarnished. So that toxic mentality that she had has gone all the way back from me being baptized at 7 years old to me now as an adult. So I'm basically only worth keeping around if I can keep up her good appearance, right? You know, it's honestly a good thing that I put my foot down, because after everything I figured out, not only about her, but about the organization as a whole, there was no going back anyways. You know, it's a special kind of disbelief when you realize that your parent is the one that will die surrounded by her fellow cult members, but with no Armageddon, no paradise, only heartbreak, because everything that was promised was just a bunch of lies. And to think, I could have given my mom, or at least helped her get the new start that she really needed across the state, you know, to feel unconditional love, like I know now. But no, people that have caused her nothing but pain are apparently a better option than her daughter. Her daughter who's made a life for herself, who's finally happy. That's blasphemous though, I guess. Now, after putting all of that out there, I wonder why I'm still longing for her love. But I know at the end of the day, more than anything, I just wish that I had a normal mom. But, you know, that desire for your parent, no matter how horrible they've been or how conditional their love has been, you know, you still want to make them proud. You still want to be loved by them. Unfortunately, I think a lot of us turn inward to ourselves and wonder things like, what's wrong with me? What could I have done to be loved more? I mean, just look at all the pictures that I've been showing throughout this video. There was always a part of me that was happy to see my mom, but there was always a weight behind my eyes every time we were together, and it's more noticeable to me now that time has passed. And speaking of pics, which I'll show my last message to her in a moment, she tried desperately to retag me in all these pictures of us on Facebook, some with fellow JW cult members, and even a few times that we actually spent with unbelieving family. And when I try to confront her about it, you know, about putting her best foot forward to people after my video exposed otherwise, she simply denied it and never had anything to say to me afterwards. Now for the final message, feel free to pause it and read it. I know it's long, but I'm actually quite proud of it, since that's how I would want my final goodbyes to anyone to look like. You know, it's mature, it's forward, but not unnecessarily so. So what ultimately matters is that I'm proud of myself for finally putting me first. I'm pushing and I'm working through feelings of feeling like an orphan, despite years into adulthood, but I know it'll take time. At the very least, I'm thankful that I'm no longer being put through the emotional roller coaster of being in contact with someone that was actually keeping my mental health in a very poor state. It's finally peace on all fronts, and what she does from this point on is going to be on her head, and it'll be her burden to bear, not mine. So there you have it. I appreciate you all taking the time to watch my video. Make sure to like, comment, and follow. Oh, and for all the Jehovah's Witnesses that keep on commenting on my videos, keep wasting your time, because I'll just happily delete your shit and block your ass. Worldly Sam, out.